Friday, guys. Welcome to Friday Devotions with Carla and Peter. I did some Googling before we came down here today. My first Google was, do geese have teeth? And you may not be surprised, but that was the second thing listed as Google popped up. And you guys, they don't have actual teeth, they have spikes in their beaks, which is a little bit terrifying. So I came down here today prepared to offering up gifts of peace and abundance. Because I also Googled, what do geese eat? And they eat grass, but that seemed lame, so I also brought bread in hopes that we can finally mend this difficult relationship that has been cultivated over these past few weeks. You guys know in scripture the story, and there's a few of them, where there was these masses of people and it was lunchtime, and the disciples were like, Jesus, we need to send these folks away to their homes so that they can eat their food and then they can come back to us. And Jesus said, no, you need to figure out how to make this happen. And the disciples were frustrated and didn't know how to think outside of the box. They weren't creative problem solvers. And one of them pointed out this little boy who had a couple of loaves of bread and some fishes, and it's like, Jesus, this is all we got. And they put that meager gift into the hands of Jesus. And as you know, the story goes, all of a sudden everyone was able to eat as much as they needed, and they even had leftovers that they could pack away for tomorrow. It's a story we learn in Bible school. It's a story we learn, we do coloring sheets when we're little. It's a story that most of us as Christians can tell quickly if anyone ever asks us about that story. But one thing that I think is really important is when you look at how Jesus perceives the world versus how the disciples or how we perceive the world, you have two strikingly different frames of mind. You have one that's of scarcity for us, one that where we are fearful or anxious, we start hoarding things and keeping our families close and having our resources and trying to live out of that fear. And then you have this kingdom perspective, which is Jesus, which is there's always enough. There's always enough. So we live out of a place of scarcity. And I'm not even talking about in our current day in the pandemic. Just think a month or 2 months ago, how the things that we were worrying about were job security or education or retirement. And you start living out of that fear, and when we live out of fear, we turn inwards and we bring all of our resources in and we hold them so tight. And those resources are things that are tangible, bread or grass or money or toilet paper, and it's those things that are intangible, our relationships, the fact that we don't want to share, we're fearful of our loved ones being taken from us. And when we live out of fear, there's always scarcity everywhere we look. There's not enough for everybody. We've got to take what we need to make sure that we can make it. And in this very simple, very childlike story that we read in scripture of Jesus taking just a meager amount and creating something of abundance, we have to remember that Jesus has blessed us in the past, that Jesus will continue to be a blessing in the future, and even in the midst of where we are right now, that we are postured to receive. But God also knows that his creation, us, you and me, have a real hard time remembering. And that's why hundreds of times in scripture, we are told to remember. Remember. Stop what you're doing, step out of your fear, and just remember the promises of your faith. Remember those songs that you know that makes your soul sing. Remember those prayers that you were taught when you were little that you can still recite today. Remember those Bible stories that seemed so simple, but yet offer up teachings that never grow old. So wherever you are today, wherever you find yourself in this place of scarcity, all I want you to do is to step back. I want you to cultivate a memory. I want you to remember a promise that you know to be true of your God and of your faith and of your place in life. And I just want you to remember that if we take what we have and we put it in the hands of Christ, there is thanksgiving and there is gratitude and there is always, always enough. Right, Carla? Girl, look what I got you. Look, some bread. Right there. Lady, you are a mother waiting. You need to nourish yourself, girl. Yes, I see your spikes on your beak. I read about that earlier on the internet. But oh, they're beautiful, Carla. Look at your eggs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 8. I always thought there was 7, but there's 8. Oh, I'm gonna leave you some bread to snack on when you get back, because we're in this together, Carla. We're together in this. And here's some grass for you. Go in peace. I didn't forget you, Peter. Here you go, my boy. Come and get it, I know, you are handsome. Yes, look. We're friends. Peter. Look, it's bread. Peter. Here's some grass and some bread. Look, it's gonna lay this out. That's on me, Peter. That's my bad. You have a good day. That's right. Cute couple. Mating for life, those two. All right.